Hey guys, I wanted to make a video showing this healing technique that I was recently taught, and this technique is really great, especially if you're a woman, because it involves giving back all this abusive, negative, misogynistic energy that's been directed at us throughout our entire lives because we're women, and it involves giving it back to the person who created it so that it is no longer interfering with ourselves and our lives. And so basically, anytime any sort of thought you have, any sort of energy you direct, anything you do, the way you treat other people, all of that energy has an energetic signature on it. And this signature is unique to you as a person, and it stays on that energy. So, what that means is that everything you've ever created has your signature on it. So if you create like misogyny and you direct that as at a woman, it has your signature on it. So the universe and everyone knows that you're the one who created it and directed it at this person. And you basically can't create anything that will violate someone else's free will or their free will rights without breaking like every universal law that exists. And if you're going to direct something like misogyny at someone, that's breaking all these laws, and eventually you're going to be held responsible for that and for all the damage you've done as a result of choosing to be that way. And so we know who's directed this at us, and this energy gets caught in our own auras, in our own fields, and we need to give it back to them. And as we give it back to them, they're ultimately being held responsible for it as well, and for all the repercussions that occurred as a result of them doing this to us in the first place. So, what this technique involves is you can go into meditation. If you're not used to meditating, it might be a good time to start doing that. And so you go into meditation and you just envision the person who has abused you or oppressed you standing across from you. And you put everything that they've created, all this energy, this abusive energy that they created and directed towards you, you put it into a box, and you just envision yourself handing it back to that person. And you just hand them the box, and then you let go of it, and you see yourself turning and walking away. And that is all you do. You don't talk to them, you don't engage with them, you just hand them the box of everything they created that they were directing at you and forcing upon you. You walk away from it. And you can do this with every single person who's oppressed you or abused you because you're a woman. There's also a lot of energy that's been directed at us from the male population by men we don't even know who are directing it towards us. So what you can also do in addition to this is, because you don't need to know the person personally who's directing it at you, it can be a stranger who's directed this energy at you, in order to be able to give it back. It doesn't matter if you know them or not, because you're just giving back this energy. It's going to go right back to whoever created it, because it has their signature on it. And it's going to come back to them as 10 times as much as what they sent out. So it's probably not going to be good for them. That's why you shouldn't go around being misogynistic, because eventually it's going to screw you over. And so what you do is you take this giant box of all this abusive, misogynistic energy the male population's constantly directing us because we're women. You put it in a giant box, and you can do this in meditation too. And I personally like to do this every single day, because every day they're just directing more at us, so then I'm just throwing it right back onto them. And this is what you should do too, because none of us should hold on to it. It doesn't belong to us. Get rid of it, send it back to them. Maybe if it keeps coming back to them 10 times as much, all this hatred they're putting out, maybe they'll stop doing it. And so you take this box, and I like to envision the entire male population on this planet as these like tiny, insignificant ants who are just really small, and they're all the way down there, and they're just like walking around, and I'm all like big and like scary, and I can just step on them and get rid of them all at once. And then I take my giant box of everything they've created, and I do this in meditation. I go over to where they are, and I just drop it back onto them. Just give it all back to them. And I just see it going back to the people who created it. Because once again, there's men who don't create any of this stuff. And because they haven't created it, I mean, their energetic signature is not on any of this sort of abusive energy or hateful energy. So it's not going to go back to them. It's going to go back directly to the men who created it. And because everything has its own energetic signature, that's how you know it's going to go right back to them, because it belongs to them. And they're ultimately the only people who it can affect, even though, unfortunately, because of the way the energy's been, they haven't been able to force this upon us, and we haven't had a way to give it back, so we've been stuck with it. But the good news is now the energy is changing so much, and we're moving more and more into alignment with Source and with God every single day. So it means that it's very easy for us to give back all the stuff that doesn't belong to us and that we never wanted in the first place. And we didn't ask for it. We didn't attract it. We're giving it back to them. That's who it belongs to. So yeah, so just know that this is only going to go back to those people who created it, who forced it upon you one way or another, whether you know them or it was just strangers directing at you. It's going to go right back to them. And there's no reason for any of us as women to ever hold on to this energy. It doesn't belong to us. It's not doing ourselves a service. It's not doing a service to our collective to hold on to it. And it doesn't do the men who created it a service either, because by giving all this energy back to them, they're going to learn that maybe they should find a different way of treating us, because if you direct hatred towards us and it's coming back to you 10 times as much, well, maybe you'll start to learn why you should only really be directing love, respect, and equality towards people. So just give it all back. Once again, I like to also do this every single day, because every day we're getting all this energy directed at us that doesn't belong to us. So just keep giving it back to them. And yeah, so that was my healing technique, and hopefully you will try it and it will help. I know it's helped me a lot. So, okay, I will talk to you guys next time.